The collapse of Iran's currency triggered the uprisings that may yet bring down the Ayatollahs. Will the Trump administration take heed? Hello, I'm Steve Forbes, and this is What's Ahead, where you get the insights you need to better navigate these turbulent times. Last June, in a space of 12 days, Israel and the U.S. smashed Iran's nuclear facilities. When it became clear that despite that disaster, Iran's extremist regime would continue pouring money into its nuclear and terrorist ventures, its currency completely fell apart. A desperate population, long writhing under a murderous, corrupt tyranny, rose up on a scale never seen before. The mullahs have responded by killing thousands of demonstrators and arresting thousands more, most of whom will be executed if the regime survives. If the U.S. provides the needed assistance and makes the necessary moves, the Ayatollahs may well be sent into the hellhole of history. What this astonishing turn of events underscores, though, is a factor that historians will acknowledge but underestimates its profound importance. That is, the role of inflation and a destroyed currency play in changing history. That's because monetary policy utterly lacks the excitement of battles or uprisings and the drama of high-level diplomacy. There are plenty of examples of the role of a collapsed currency can play in historic events. The collapse of the ruble during World War I fatally undermined the 3-century-old Romanov dynasty. The worthless money of revolutionary France during the 1790s was critical in creating the conditions for the rise of Napoleon and 2 decades of war. The devastating hyperinflation of the German Weimar Republic in the early 1920s similarly laid the groundwork for the rise of Adolf Hitler. The severe inflation in the late 1940s that destroyed China's anti-communist middle class in urban areas helped enable Mao's communists to triumph in that country's civil war. Hyperinflation and the destruction of Yugoslavia's currency in the late 1980s and early 1990s shattered that country into 7 separate nations. The process involved ugly acts of ethnic cleansing and a war that led to a U.S.-NATO intervention. We still have troops stationed in Kosovo and Bosnia-Herzegovina. Of course, the inflation the U.S. is experiencing today is way down from the highs of the Biden presidency. But President Trump is flirting with the idea of weakening the dollar to deal with our trade deficit. The dollar is already wobbling against other currencies and has fallen sharply vis-a-vis gold, which is the best barometer of monetary inflation. If not reversed, a weakening dollar will undermine the Trump presidency. The same thing happened with President George W. Bush in the early 2000s when he and his economic team were seduced by the supposed benefits of weakening the greenback. A weak dollar also did in the presidencies of Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, and Jimmy Carter. A dollar stable in value is critical for genuine prosperity. Will President Trump and his team recognize this before we do ourselves and the world unnecessary harm? Stay tuned. I'm Steve Forbes. Thanks for listening. Do send in your comments and suggestions. I look forward to being with you soon again.